Monica and Otim had a questionable relationship, one that started with betrayal and stolen affection. Otim was the husband of Alum, Monica's best friend. Though Alum had given a vague warning that a stolen man can never be yours forever, Monica brushed it off. All she wanted was Otim, all to herself. In a matter of weeks, they were married. What Monica hadn't realized was that she had taken more than just a man from her best friend. She had stepped into a life that was about to unravel in unimaginable ways. That honeymoon night was like a dream, full of laughter, passion, and a promise of forever. But when they woke up the next morning, the room smelled of something foul. Monica wrinkled her nose, her face turning from sleepy to horrified as she looked down at the bed. There, staining the white sheets, was unmistakable proof of a stomach gone wrong. She was dumbfounded. This had never happened before, but before she could process it, Otim turned to her, his face already twisted in disgust. "It was that avocado you ate last night, wasn't it?" he demanded. "I told you to go slow on it, Monica. Now look at what you've done." Monica was speechless. "But I didn't do this, Otim. I'm an adult. I'd never." Otim shook his head, his tone accusing, yet calm. "Stop denying it, Monica. You embarrassed both of us. Just take responsibility, and maybe next time, be more careful." As the days went by, each morning seemed to bring a repeat performance. Every time, Monica woke up to the same mess on her side of the bed, the same stench that grew so empowering. It would jerk her awake from sleep. Every time, Otim would sigh with disgust, pointing out her supposed lack of control. Gradually, his accusations wore her down, and she began to wonder if he was right. Maybe it was her fault. Maybe her body was betraying her in ways she couldn't control. She even began to starve herself, eating almost nothing at night, hoping it would stop. But each morning, the disgusting surprise was still there. The neighbors watched her each day as she carried the mattress outside to dry. They whispered, assuming she was simply a woman who wet the bed. But the look in their eyes stung. Otim never corrected them. In fact, he laughed along with them. Monica could feel her confidence eroding. But every day, she went back to the same routine, scrubbing, washing, drying, all while Otim played the role of a husband who put up with his embarrassing wife. Otim's father Omondi visited every weekend. Omondi was a wealthy and strict man whom Otim feared, often feeling on edge around him, trying hard to impress him. Otim had lost his mother when he was young, and his father had never remarried, choosing instead to focus solely on raising his son and working tirelessly. Otim would often kneel to greet Omondi, even in public, which seemed unusual for a grown man. He would also pressure Monica to kneel and greet Omondi. "But we don't kneel in our culture," Monica protested. "I know, but you have to respect my father. He supports us financially and deserves respect. After what you do in our bed every night, the least you can do is kneel down and show respect, especially because I, your husband, asked you to," Otim asserted. Though Monica disliked it, seeing Otim kneeling, she reluctantly followed suit. But it wasn't just kneeling that Otim required. Every time his father came, Otim would make sure that there was a feast prepared. Delicious dishes, roasted chicken, rice curries, and all the treats that Monica herself hadn't tasted in ages. Otim gave her strict instructions not to touch any of it. He emphasized that it would be only for his father. If she dared to eat any, she would be breaking his trust, as he'd reminded her repeatedly that her late-night meals were the source of her problem. Monica wondered why Otim worshipped his father so much. Despite her near-fasting habits, every morning, Monica woke up to find poop on her side of the bed. Otim had even begun threatening her with divorce, telling her to stop her bad behavior, or he would kick her out one day. Monica would clean the bed sheets and mattress, not understanding why it was happening now. Of all times, in this marriage she had fought so hard to secure. Maybe Alum had bewitched her, she thought. Every morning had become extra work before heading to her actual job. She often arrived late and was eventually fired. As she walked home that day, a thought popped into her head. Why don't I buy adult diapers? The idea had never come in her head before. She went into the market and headed to the adult diapers section. As she stood in front of the shelves, hesitating with a pack of diapers in her hand, a voice broke her concentration. "Monica, is that you?" Monica turned and froze. It was Alum, her former bestie. Alum's eyes fell on the pack in Monica's hands, and her brows arched, a sly smile forming on her lips. "Diapers?" Alum asked with a raised eyebrow. Monica's heart raced, and she quickly tried to cover it up. "Therefore, my grandmother," she replied, attempting to sound casual. Alum tilted her head, an amused look spreading across her face. "Your grandmother? Monica, your grandmother died 5 years ago. Have you forgotten that I was your bestie and I knew everything about you?" Monica felt embarrassment surrounding her. Alum shook her head. "Oh, don't tell me your prized possession Otim is at it again." "What do you mean?" Monica bristled, squaring her shoulders. "We're perfectly fine, and he's in better hands now than he ever was with you." Alum smirked, clearly entertained. "Oh, I know he's in perfect hands, but what about you, Monica? How's that smell every morning, huh?" The smirk stung Monica, and she stared at Alum, her stomach knotting up. "Wait, how do you know about that?" she blurted, her voice shaky. "You're jealous, aren't you? So because of jealousy you bewitched me to humiliate me in front of Otim? He loves me, Alum. He's still with me, despite me pooping on bed." Alum's expression turned to one of shock, then amusement. "So both of you are pooping on bed now? I thought it was just Otim. Oh wow, you really are made for each other, poop squad." She laughed. Monica blinked, confused. "Wait, what do you mean? Otim poops on bed?" Alum's eyes widened as she caught her breath, and then she gave Monica a look of disbelief mixed with pity. "Oh my God, he's been gaslighting you like that? Monica, do you even know who you're married to? You thought you won the ultimate man, eh?" She laughed. "Well, I'm going to enjoy telling my new husband about this." With that, Alum tossed 2 packs of wipes into her cart and strolled away, leaving Monica standing there, clutching the diapers and feeling the full weight of Alum's words settling on her. Was it true? Was Otim the one pooping on bed? But why would he blame her? That night, Monica secretly wore a diaper, careful to hide the packaging out of Otim's view. Her mind raced and her body tensed up as she lay down beside him, pretending to sleep but fully awake. She was determined to know the truth. Around 3 a.m., the sound of a slow gargling noise filled the room, followed by a squishy, wet sound. Monica's stomach turned, but she stayed still, her eyes squeezed shut. The stench rose like a thick cloud, almost choking her, and she watched as Otim, completely oblivious, shifted slightly. His face relaxed. He was sleeping peacefully while the mess sat between them. She couldn't believe her own eyes. It's him, she thought, horrified. All this time? About an hour later, Otim stirred, and she watched him calmly. He rubbed his eyes and sat up, noticing the mess. Without missing a beat, he carefully pushed the mess towards Monica's side, even positioning it against her bum. Disgust rolled within her, and she jolted upright, unable to contain her anger. Otim's eyes flew wide, and he pulled his hands back in shock. "Monica!" he exclaimed. "I was just cleaning up your mess so it wouldn't disturb you in the morning." Monica looked at him with anger. "I saw you, Otim. I was awake. I saw you push it on my side." She took a deep breath. "I'm wearing a diaper, so there is no way I would have pooped on bed." Otim's face drained of color, his mouth opening and closing as he searched for words. "Monica, please, it's not what it looks like. Really, Otim? Her voice was sharp. Every single day, you've been lying to me. You humiliated me. You made me feel ashamed of myself. You let the neighbors gossip and laugh at me. You told me I was sick, that I was disgusting, and now you say it's not what it looks like? Otim fell to his knees, his hands clasped in front of him. Monica, please just listen to me. I didn't mean to. I thought if you knew, you'd leave me. I couldn't bear to lose you. You couldn't bear to lose me? After all the times you've threatened me with divorce, all the times you've blamed me, called me disgusting to my face, after watching me lose my job because I was late every morning, too busy cleaning up your mess? He lowered his head, his shoulders shaking. I didn't know what else to do. Why, Otim? She demanded. Why would you do this to me? Otim wiped his eyes with his hand, his words barely a whisper. I thought if I pinned it on you, you would be dependent on me and that you wouldn't leave me. She picked up her suitcase, her mind racing through every horrible moment, every insult, every lie. Otim reached out, desperation in his eyes. Monica, please don't leave me. I love you. I'm sorry, truly. I should have told you from the start. I know it's terrible, but please don't go. She paused, watching him kneeling there, pleading with the same look of fear he always wore in front of his father. It struck her that this man, who couldn't even stand up for himself, had chosen to drag her into his insecurities, his fears, and his shame. She had loved him once, or at least the idea of him, but now she felt like she was standing in front of a stranger. What happened, Otim? She repeated, quieter now, almost to herself. Otim looked down, unable to answer, his tears silently tracing the lines down his face. Monica picked up her suitcase and turned towards the door. If you can't even tell me the truth, Otim, then I'm leaving. I'm done. Otim took a deep, shaky breath. I can't hold it in. The poop. My system can't hold it in, Monica. Otim hesitated but continued. I'm loose, Monica. My behind is loose, and everything just comes out without warning, especially at night. He looked away, his face clouded with shame. I was embarrassed to tell you because you wouldn't have married me. Seeing Otim like this, vulnerable and broken, Monica felt her heart soften. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Since when? She asked. A deep silence followed. Otim seemed to be wrestling with the decision, as though speaking the truth would somehow change everything. Since I was 6, he finally murmured, a few months before my mother died. Monica knelt beside him, shocked, searching his face for more and feeling a flood of sympathy. As he continued, his words were like glass cutting into her heart. My father, he said, his voice choking. He forced himself on me, Monica, since childhood, again and again. He threatened to kill my mother if I told anyone. So I stayed silent, thinking I was protecting her. But every day, every night, it left me broken inside, and it damaged me so badly that my behind couldn't hold anything in anymore. My mother once noticed my dirty pants and asked why I pooped on myself, but I lied. I told her I did it on purpose, just to give her more work. She slapped me. She didn't know I was trying to protect her. Monica's tears fell freely now, her hand clutching his. Otim looked away, his face full of shame. The night she caught Dad in the act, she had a heart attack and died right there. After she was gone, he felt free to do whatever he wanted to me. He even bought me diapers because he didn't want to see me ruin any more clothes. But I developed an allergy to the diapers, so he stopped, and I just had to manage without them. Otim swallowed, trembling. He never took me to the hospital, because then everyone would find out his secret. I also didn't want anyone to know, because I didn't want to be embarrassed. I was dependent on him for everything, and somehow I developed this syndrome that made me want to please him so I could stay in his good books. Monica hugged him tightly, her face breaking as she held him. "Otim, I'm so sorry, I didn't know," she whispered. "No one should have to go through that." They sat in silence for a long moment before she asked, "Did Alum know?" Otim nodded. "She found out on the first night we were together, and she refused to share a bed with me after that. She even wanted me to sleep on the toilet. She only stayed because I paid her. And when you came along, she was more than relieved to leave." Monica felt betrayed for a moment because what she ordered was not what was delivered. But she loved Otim. His father had damaged him, and she couldn't just leave him like that. "Otim," she said softly but firm, "we can't let him get away with this. He took your childhood from you. We have to put him behind bars." At first, Otim refused, too afraid of what would happen, the shame if people found out. But with Monica's insistence, he found the courage he'd thought was lost forever. Together, they decided it was time to bring Omondi to justice. The following day, Monica and Otim went to Omondi's company with the police to arrest and expose him for what he had done to Otim. Otim kept his head bowed the whole time, while Monica gave Omondi a piece of her mind, standing up for Otim like she was his new mother. "You disgust me," Monica spat, her voice filled with anger. "You should be ashamed to even call yourself a man. You stole your own son's innocence, broke him, and left him scarred for life. You're not even worth the dirt on his shoes." She stepped closer, her eyes blazing with fury. "Well, you'll have the rest of your life to rot in a cell and think about everything you did. Otim may have bowed down to you out of fear, but that ends today. He's free of you now, and he's got someone who will never let you hurt him again." Otim felt a mix of embarrassment and pride, realizing that Monica was the first person ever to fight for him. A few days later, Otim was elected as the new CEO of his father's company. Everything now belonged to him, while Omondi would spend the rest of his life in prison. Otim appointed Monica as his right-hand woman, knowing there was no one he could trust more. With their new financial freedom, Otim and Monica traveled to Kenya, where Otim underwent surgery to restore his condition. Finally free of his physical and emotional burdens, Otim felt immense gratitude for having such an amazing wife by his side. He realized how deeply Monica loved him and was ready to give her everything she deserved. Monica too was relieved. Her days of waking up surrounded by the unbearable smell were over. She was truly happy with the man she loved, and now that they were both free from the shadows of their past, she felt like the luckiest woman on earth. What do you think of this story, guys? Did you like it? Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you're notified every time I post new videos. Thank you for watching, guys.